Hello neighbor, I'm Robert Burns and welcome once again to another edition of Sound Off Louisiana, and I hope everyone is stuffed unimaginably with fried turkey and dressing and all of the favorite fixings. I know I certainly did that on yesterday. Today is Friday, Black Friday, November 29th, and I'm not one that goes out and does a lot of shopping. I know that's a popular trend, but I'm one that just kind of lazies around. And accordingly, I went ahead and read what some folk would probably say, you can't possibly be serious. You read something by the Public Affairs Research Council, and yes, I did. And what I read was a very well written assessment of Governor Landry's tax plan. And when I did, I immediately caught something that is giving rise to my need to come before you and do certainly the largest mea culpa that we've ever had to do in the history of Sound Off Louisiana. And I want to make one thing perfectly clear. I blame no one for the inaccuracy of our prior reporting on Governor Landry's tax plan, but me, Robert Burns. The buck stops here. It is my fault. It would be very easy to say that there were so many moving parts in and out, and I did everything I could to try and stay on top of from everything, the corporate tax, the personal income tax, but it only takes one minor, and it's not minor, it only takes not having one component correctly comprehended up here to have major ramifications. And that's what happened with me. And I will let you know where I made it was not an intentional error, but what I did not properly comprehend was that I had said that, well, in our first video on this, I said, well, our second video, whatever the case, I can't remember now because everything's running together because I feel like I've been tax reformed to death here in the last few weeks. But I had said that Governor Landry did not go far enough in touting the benefit of his tax plan to lower income taxpayers. And we played the little clip where he said eliminating the lowest tax bracket. And I thought, incorrectly as it turns out, that meant that both the lowest tax bracket was being eliminated in addition to the standard deduction being raised from $4,500 to $12,500. That was my comprehension. I was wrong. W-R-O-N-G. It was not a situation of doing both and thereby, quote, eliminating the lowest tax bracket. The true statement would be, quote, eliminating the lowest tax bracket by raising the standard deduction, not and raising the standard deduction. And I guess if you wanted to get nitpicky, which I'm not in a mood to do when I see I've made a major error like this, one could conceivably argue, probably successfully, that it does not totally eliminate the lowest income tax bracket because the standard deduction was only raised by $8,000. It was already $4,500 to begin with, and I believe that $12,500 is greater than $8,000. So what I want to do, and on our prior features, we're going to put a huge in bold at the top statement that the composition of the two prior features is erroneous, and give a direct link to this feature so that the correct numbers can be provided. And it's still a decent savings, don't get me wrong, it's still a decent savings to a lower income taxpayer. We had been using the gentleman or lady or gentleman that makes $35,000 a year, and I had come up with an enormous tax savings because that's what I genuinely thought was happening. it turns out there will be a tax savings. It's just not going to be nearly as large as I had been computing before. So I'm going to do this in a table format and try to make it as simple as I possibly can. That taxpayer under the present tax system, the tax system we have today, $35,000 income, we'll have that as the first row in the table, less a standard deduction of $4,500 gives you taxable income of $30,500. Of that $30,500, the first $12,500 would be taxed at the lowest tax rate of 0.0185, giving you a tax liability of $231.25. The remaining $18,000 that is above the $12,500 of taxable income would be taxed, and we're going to show numbers for all of this on the screen, would be taxed at 3.5%, and that would give you $630, giving you a total tax liability of $861.25. We actually calculated all of that correctly in every prior feature we put out. So the tax liability as it pertains to today without Governor Landry's plan would be $861.25. Now, let's go and calculate the taxes that would be owed using the numbers as they apply now with Governor Landry's plan. Now, you would have that $35,000 in income. The new standard deduction is $12,500. That's $8,000 more than it was, leaving you with $22,500, all of which is taxed at 3%. And so that gives you a tax liability under Governor Landry's plan of $675. All right, so under the old plan, under the current law, $861.25. Under the new plan, $675. That is a net difference of $186.25. Again, we'll show that to you and it'll be in the table. And so the computation that I had did before, which was how much would you have to spend before the tax saving as a result of the sales tax rate being boosted by 55 basis points or 0.0055, because the sales tax is going from 4.45 to 5%. And you can do that by taking the $186.25 and dividing it by 0.0055, and what you will get is $33,863.64. That is clearly far below the number I had computed before, because I was incorrectly, again, basically double counting the elimination of the 12.5 bracket, because I thought that was what was happening. It turns out it is not. I would still argue that this is a meaningful tax cut to the lower income folk. It's not what I thought it was. And again, there's nobody to blame for that but me. For those who I made the joke about Mr. Lunsford having to be called in for remedial training because of a report that Governor Landry's office felt was deceptive or inaccurate, and I would concur with that. It was. I don't see the $12 billion. At least I showed my work. I showed my work to where a teacher can grade it and said, well, here's where you messed up. PAR did not, nobody reached out to me and said, Robert, you screwed up. I caught it when I read today the PAR, and we're going to provide a direct link. Now you may say, I'm not about to go in there and read something by the Public Affairs Research Council. That's up to you. I think it's very well written. That's how I caught my own error. I guess you could say I self-graded my own paper. And it turns out that when I took all of the accounting classes I took at LSU to take the CPA exam and to now be an inactive CPA, although it's a little bit embarrassing to tell you that I'm an inactive CPA, given that something like this could happen. When I was in advanced accounting, the professor's name at that time was David Vigner. He was a very young man. I had taken an exam and I realized I had made an error, and in advanced accounting, it can have a domino effect, just like it just did with me. He told me when he gave it, he said, look, you had one carryover here, it's no big deal. I don't tout this, but I did graduate from LSU with a 4.0. So things like this are embarrassing to me. There's just no other way to say it. So I feel like I owe an apology to Michael Lunsford, I owe an apology to Woody Jenkins, and I owe an apology to Tyler Bridges. When I thought I had this thing down, and I put all of the effort I knew how to do, but sometimes we can do that and we fall short. I kind of stuck my chest out. I did. Stick my chest out and say, come prove these numbers wrong. It could be that, I would hope at least one person out there saw this and said they are wrong, and figured I'd get my feelings hurt or my ego bruised or whatever the case, and didn't want to reach out to me. Thank you, Public Affairs Research Council, because you have enabled me to come on and make a correction to a major screw up, or you enabled me to fix my own false reporting. And I'm one that does not believe in false media accounts, and I am guilty of it in this instance, and I am correcting it as quickly as I know how. And we're going to give you this table with the revised computations. Going to put big disclaimers on the prior two features, saying, unfortunately, the material in this feature is erroneous. Please go see this feature for the correct figures. So, I hope nobody went out and started spending, added Christmas shopping based on, hey, I'm going to get, Burns is up here telling me I'm going to save this, a lot more, another $300 and something that it turns out you won't be saving. If you did, start to scale it back, because the saving, the tax reduction is not nearly as large as I thought for the lower income taxpayers. Again, I apologize to our viewers, to those individuals that I mentioned earlier, and that's all I can do, folks. So I don't mean to put a downer on anybody's Thanksgiving. I had an enjoyable one. I trust everyone else did too, but I had to get this on out. It's important to me, okay? And I hope, if nothing else, you'll know that I don't have so much pride that I won't man up and say when I've gotten something wrong. Not intentionally. A lot of people get things wrong. Sometimes I have to wonder if they're not intentionally, but I now know what Tyler Bridges meant when he wrote in there. And you'll see that at the other article. I'm not going to go in and take that stuff that I put in out. I'm embarrassed by it, but I now know what he meant when he said it's not clear if a family under 40,000 realize a net, because if you spend virtually all you make, the added sales tax is going to wipe it out. It's that simple. So he was correct. I will swallow my pride. Mr. Bridges, if you watch this, you were correct. I was wrong. And that'll do it. I have some leftover Thanksgiving meals, so I think I may go stuff myself again. Again, we'll give you that Public Affairs Research Council link that gives a very good synopsis of what happened. But even they say there was an awful lot going on, and even they say we can't 100% say we've got it all down to concrete, but they certainly had it better than me. Although I don't know of any other major part I had wrong, but this one was huge. So Thank you again, and we look forward to bringing you our next Sound Off Louisiana feature that hopefully won't have the kind of erroneous reporting. I'm sorry, it was erroneous that we had in our last two features. So thank you once again. Enjoy the remainder of your Thanksgiving holidays. We'll see you next time.